Right now, in this moment, your body is scanning for threats. You are not doing it consciously. You do not feel it happening. But somewhere beneath every thought you are having, your nervous system is running a background check on everything around you. Every sound, every movement at the edge of your vision, every unfamiliar face. It has been doing this your entire life, and it will never stop. This is not anxiety. This is not a disorder. This is one of the oldest and most successful survival programs ever written into a living creature. And understanding exactly why it runs and why it cannot be switched off will change the way you understand almost everything about yourself. Let us go back. Not 10 years, not 100, back 200,000 years to the landscape where your species was forged, the African savanna. Open grassland stretching in every direction, sparse trees, long sightlines broken by tall grass, and out there, moving through that grass, things that wanted to eat you. Your ancestors were not the apex predators of that world. They were medium-sized, mostly hairless, surprisingly slow, and almost completely defenseless without a group and a weapon. A leopard could take a human in seconds. A hyena clan could overwhelm a lone adult before they had time to react. Lions, crocodiles, wild dogs. The list of things that could kill your great-great ancestor on any given afternoon was long and patient and fast. In that world, the individuals who survived were not the strongest. They were the most vigilant. The ones whose nervous systems fired fastest at the first sign of danger. The ones who did not wait to confirm the threat before reacting. Because by the time you confirmed the leopard in the grass, it was already on you. The cost of being wrong about a threat that did not exist was embarrassment. The cost of being wrong about a threat that did exist was death. Evolution does not tolerate that asymmetry for long. So your brain was sculpted over hundreds of thousands of years to err on the side of alarm. Always. Without exception. The structure that runs this program is called the amygdala. It sits deep in the center of your brain, roughly almond-sized, and it processes threat signals faster than your conscious mind can form a thought. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux at New York University spent decades mapping this system. What he found transformed the field. He called it the low road, a direct neural pathway from your senses to your amygdala that completely bypasses your cortex, the thinking part of your brain. A loud noise, a sudden movement, a face that looks angry or unfamiliar, and the amygdala fires. Before you have a chance to think, before you have a chance to decide. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense, stress hormones flood your bloodstream. Your body is already running the survival program before your consciousness has even been informed of the situation. This happens to you dozens of times a day. You just do not notice most of them. Think about the last time a car horn blared near you, or someone knocked unexpectedly on a door, or your phone buzzed and the name on the screen was someone you were not expecting. That flash of physical reaction, that is the amygdala. That is 200,000 years of predator detection misfiring on a Tuesday afternoon. Now consider what researcher Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania discovered about which threats your brain is most primed to fear. Seligman found that humans develop phobias of certain things at rates far out of proportion to how dangerous those things actually are. Spiders, snakes, heights, open spaces, enclosed spaces, darkness, strangers. These are some of the most common fears reported across cultures worldwide. And here is what they all have in common. They are all things that could have killed your ancestors on the savannah. Venomous creatures, falling, exposure, getting trapped, predators approaching in the dark, unfamiliar individuals who might be from a competing group. What you almost never find is an evolved fear of cars, or electrical outlets, or processed food, or cigarettes, things that actually kill enormous numbers of people in the modern world, because those threats are too new. Your amygdala has not had the hundreds of thousands of years of selection pressure required to learn to fear them the way it learned to fear a snake in the grass. Your threat detection system is running on ancient firmware. Brilliant, fast, breathtakingly efficient ancient firmware, but ancient. This is why psychologist and Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying what he called System 1 thinking, fast, automatic, emotionally driven, versus System 2 thinking, slow, deliberate, logical. The tension between these two systems is the tension between your ancient survival brain and your modern rational mind. System 1 wins every time, before System 2 even wakes up. The consequences of this play out everywhere in your daily life in ways you almost certainly do not recognize as threat responses. That unease you feel in a quiet parking garage at night, not a conscious analysis, A threat response. The way your attention snaps to a raised voice across a restaurant? Not curiosity. Threat detection. The low-level anxiety you feel when you enter a room full of strangers and cannot immediately identify a friendly face? Not shyness. Your amygdala cataloging the room for potential danger the way your ancestors cataloged the tree line. Even the way you consume news. Psychologist Roy Baumeister at the University of Queensland documented what he called the negativity bias. The brain processes negative information more deeply, more quickly, and with more lasting effect than positive information. A threat signal gets prioritized above everything else, which is why a single piece of bad news can occupy your mind for hours, while 10 pieces of good news evaporate almost immediately. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is treating the news feed the same way it treated the savanna, scanning for threats, logging dangers, staying ready. And this is where it gets strange, because the threats your ancestors faced were physical, immediate. They either killed you or they did not, and then they were over. A leopard attacks. You survive or you do not. The event ends. But the threats your brain catalogs today are often abstract, ongoing, unresolvable. Your job, your finances, your relationships, your reputation, your health, these are not threats that end. They do not resolve in seconds the way a predator encounter resolves. They persist. They accumulate. And your amygdala, which has no concept of abstract future risk, treats every one of them as if a leopard is in the room right now. This is the core of what modern neuroscience calls chronic stress. Your ancient threat detection system, never designed for prolonged activation, stuck in the on position because the threats it is detecting never go away. Robert Sapolsky at Stanford University has spent his career studying what sustained stress hormone exposure does to the body. The findings are not subtle. Prolonged activation of the stress response damages the hippocampus, the part of your brain involved in memory and learning. It suppresses the immune system. It accelerates cardiovascular disease. It rewires the prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational decision-making, making you more reactive and less able to think clearly. Your survival system, running indefinitely on threats it was never built to handle, begins to damage the very body it was designed to protect. You were built for short bursts of extreme danger, followed by long stretches of relative calm. You are living in a world of low-level, never-ending ambient threat, and your nervous system does not know how to tell the difference. But here is what matters. Knowing this changes things. Not completely, not immediately, but meaningfully. When your heart spikes at a loud noise, you now know that is not weakness. That is 200,000 years of survival engineering doing its job. When you feel inexplicably uneasy in an unfamiliar place, that is not irrationality. That is the most successful threat detection system ever evolved, briefly confused about the century it is operating in. And when you notice the scan happening, that background hum of vigilance running beneath everything else, you can do something your ancestors never could. You can name it. You can recognize it for what it is. Ancient software, running faithfully in a world it was not built for. The savanna is gone. The leopard is gone. But the system that kept your ancestors alive long enough to become you is still running. Right now. In the background. Scanning. It always will be.